Well, I try, Jay. Yeah, you're looking. Where have you been with your fucking? Is that a West Germany top on?
It's an old. I don't know why I'm doing that. It's an old hoodie I got from Elephant and Castle Market about 15 years ago, and I've just managed. It's managed to stay with me on all my travels. So yeah,
Nice.
it's nice
It
to
does
show,
look. Yeah.
show my respect for the fatherland. You know, I'm an avid Teutonic fan of the German people. So yeah, what better way
the German people
than my my green hoodie from the Elephant and Castle Market.
It does look very Elephant and Castle, doesn't it? Like Affleck's Palace sort of gear.
Yeah, big time, mate. I've got my money's worth out of this. Probably cost me about 20 quid 15 years ago. When you think about it, that's like fucking, well, I can't do the maths. It's like about £1 10 a year or whatever.
Yeah. Well, I know you've had a bit of a rough time, Jay, but them things were built to get through fucking world wars. You know?
Doesn't make good sense. Yeah. So that's what I'll do. Times are hard. I'll buy German manufactured clobber.
Yeah. Can it survive coronavirus? Anyway, we're going right down a fucking rabbit hole.
Yeah. It's got made in Taiwan on the label. It's about as German as me and you. Right. Anyway.
Yeah, this is Scotty and Motta, and we're going to do our weekly Premier League roundup. There's been some big results this weekend that's going to affect the top four, most notably Chelsea and Leicester both getting spanked by teams that nobody expected to. And actually, Jay put out, Motta put out a tweet earlier on today when Bournemouth went 1-0 down and said, that's it, that's the end of this game. Terrible defending. And what score did it finish?
4-1 to Bournemouth.
So yes. when you're looking for your betting odds and betting tips next week,
that aged about as well as a fucking block of cheese on a radiator. That was an absolute disastrous tweet, but I'm not bothered because I'm happy. But yeah, I thought when Leicester went ahead through Jamie Vardy after some shocking defending by Bournemouth, I thought, Bournemouth are in free fall. Leicester have been ropey, but they haven't been completely, incapable of getting a result. So I thought, maybe they'll kick on and get, and it'll just be like a 2 or 3-0. Sionsu got sent off, of course, that helps Bournemouth's cause. I think he's suspended for the United game, end of the season, I think. And yeah, Bournemouth just it could have been 5 or 6. They missed a bit of a sitter at the end, the lad at the bar. And also what helps United is that goal difference, because I think Leicester are about 6 or 7 goals better than us. I think there are a few goals better than us now because they were helped by that massive result they got against Southampton early in the season when they beat them 9-0. But now it's a little bit closer. And the main thing with that is just the form. I don't think Leicester have won away from home since December, I think. All right, I know obviously we had a 3-month break, but even so, that's still a lot of games. And United are, at the time of recording this, ahead of the Southampton game, are flying. So yeah, I think the goal difference actually, it's down to 3. So that's pretty phenomenal considering the points gap a few months ago and the goal difference as well. For us to be 1 point behind them with a game in hand and 3 goals behind them, goal difference, is pretty fucking amazing.
Yeah, and especially when we've got to play them last game of the season, we could be playing for a draw just to get Champions League football, couldn't we? If the worst case scenario, we actually drop points against Southampton, we could be in a really good place. What's happened to Leicester then? Is there anything you can put your finger on? Because Vardy's been scored, Vardy scored and stuff, and that's usually the focal point of the team, and when he's playing well or bagging goals and the scoring. But what seems to have happened to the Leicester team? It's like Leicester and Man United have completely polarised forms, aren't they? Polar opposites to the forms they were before. I mean, we had a bit of a decent run with Fernandes, but you couldn't see this from Leicester, really, could you?
No, you couldn't. I mean, the wheels started coming off when they were sort of being spoken about, like title challenges. They got to the point where they were third with, an outside chance of getting involved, and then the results just drastically went against them. I think they played. It was around the time they played Liverpool and City within a sort of space of a month of each other, and lost both those games, and just then started just dropping points, especially away from home. I think they're quite reliant on the midfield to play together. The strongest midfield they've got, the likes of Ndidi, Tielemans, maybe throw Chowdhury in there as well. But once one of those players is missing, I think they struggle. Maddison, of course. I think Ndidi is quite important, and I think you're right about Jamie Vardy. He's vital to them. I know Iheanacho's weighed in with a few goals, but if he hits double figures, I'll be amazed. Whereas Vardy was flying money early this season, and he had a bit of a drought. And when that happens, you need someone to pick up the slack. Like at United this season, we've been quite fortunate not fortunate, it's just sort of the way it is. That if Rashford wasn't scoring, Martial was, and vice versa. And now you've got Greenwood and Bruno as well. So you're always confident if one of the strikers isn't scoring, someone else will. With Vardy, you just get the feeling 9 times out of 10, if you stop him, you stop Leicester. So I think it's just the perfect storm, or the imperfect storm if you're a Leicester fan, of over-reliance on Vardy, over-reliance on that midfield to be fit, especially in Ndidi. And when things aren't going right for those two sides to it, then they're struggling.
You got to wonder if it's in their heads now that they've sort of been resigned. You know what tends to happen to teams, especially when they're already punching above their weight in the league, whether they're going to sort of, it's already set in stone that we're going to fall down further down the table. Can you see them sort of returning to any sort of form, or there's only 4 games left, isn't there? So
there is, but the thing is that last game. I mean, to be honest with you, if I was a Leicester fan. I don't know if I was a Leicester fan, but if Rodgers got anything about him, he can say, "Listen, if we beat United on the last day, we'll get top 4." Which, let's face facts as well, that is a massive achievement for Leicester to get top 4.
Yeah.
Because in the summer we bought Harry Maguire off him. That was a sort of indication that we were going for it, and we took their best defender, and no one was had Leicester down for top 4. If anyone tells you they did, they're fucking lying. They didn't. They didn't know, did they? No one was saying that. It was like...
No, I mean, we've taken their best defender for a massive sum, and it was beyond anyone's belief that we'd taken Maguire to Old Trafford, and they were the team that we wanted, that were flying all season.
It's a great point. Do you remember when he came to Old Trafford? Let me see if I can just bring the team up here now, because I remember before the game, I can't remember if it was me and you that were chatting about it. It might have been me and one of the lads to go to the game with. And I was saying, if you look at it, like the player for, sorry, mate, just bear with me 1 sec here. If you look at it player for player, I think that Leicester probably got more players out of the Leicester team. If you did a combined 11, there'd probably be more players from the Leicester team. So that day, you had Maddison, you had Vardy, you had Tielemans, you had Ndidi, you had Chilwell, who at the time was probably, we had Ashley Young at left back for that game. So you'd have probably said, all right, we'll have Chilwell, Maddison, Ndidi, Tielemans, and Vardy. So it's even really, innit? All right, then, maybe there's a case you could say, maybe Chowdhury as well, because at the time we had like Mata, Pereira, Rashford on his own up front, Dan James. It wasn't a strong United team. And you looked at it and you thought, that Leicester team, on paper, it's paper thin margins. And we got a 1-0 win, and it was relatively comfortable. De Gea had a couple of saves to make, but I remember being relieved because I thought that was a proper banana skin. And then they sort of kicked on even more so. I went on a wonderful run. Rodgers was flavour of the month again, and then the wheels have massively come off. And like I said to you before, the away form has been woeful. They haven't been doing well at all. If you look at some of some of the results they've had as well, they lost to Norwich, which in February, which isn't great, obviously. They've just silly draws as well, drawing at Watford, drawing at home to Brighton, losing at home to Chelsea. They've had some really poor results. But I think today's probably been the worst result they've had all season. To go to Bournemouth who are fucking in free fall, and get turned over, not just lose. We lost at Bournemouth, but to get turned over, you've got to worry about what that does for the players' confidence and the mentality of everyone, especially Rodgers, who, in the Premier League has had end of season dramas, hasn't he? I know it's a different story when he was at Liverpool, but the wheels came off at the end of the season, didn't they? So That's got to be weighing on his mind as well.
Yeah, it was equally as enjoyable. Well, more enjoyable, I think, probably the last banana skin that Brendan Rodgers team had. But they've got 3 games left, actually. I think today was their fourth. They've got Spurs. They've got Spurs away, and they've also got Sheffield United at home before they play United. So, I mean, you've got to wonder if they actually can get any points, beforehand. Because we'll talk about Sheffield United next, because that was some performance they put in, wasn't it, against Chelsea? Again, that was probably, I don't know, even more unexpected. I don't know, Bournemouth was pretty unexpected, but you weren't expecting the form that Sheffield United have had today to go and beat Chelsea 3-0, was it, convincingly?
Would you? No. I mean, was it when we played Sheffield United the other day? Not the other day, sorry. When was it? When we played him not long after lockdown, played him at Old Trafford, and it was a case of like, everyone was like, oh, well, Sheffield United, they're not all that, and lockdown's not been kind to them, and all this other nonsense. And then I think they lost to Arsenal as well, didn't they, Sheffield United? And it was like, oh, well, this is it. And then they've had some good results. I think they beat Wolves as well not long ago.
Yeah.
And then to beat Chelsea, convincingly beat Chelsea as well. 3-0 was fair. It wasn't a scoreline that flattered to deceive. It could have been, 4-5, but I think 3-0 was probably about right. And you just can't help but like Chris Wilder and what he's doing, and everything. His sort of game plan just came off perfectly. McGoldrick obviously getting a brace. He's not scored all season, and I was watching that game. I didn't watch it all, but I watched most of it. And the one thing you ask from your team, your players, no matter what level you're at, is that they try the hardest and they just don't get out muscled or out fought. And Sheffield United just wanted it more. They did.
Yeah.
They did. 50-50s. They were winning them all. And there was a couple of balls where the advantage was with Chelsea defenders and McGoldrick or whoever just shrugged them off and got there first. And you're like, Frank Lampard must be fuming with that, because that's unacceptable. That's one of the ones where, fair enough if you get outplayed, but if you're not trying as hard as your opposition, that's inexcusable.
Yeah, I mean, that Sheffield United seem to have picked back up it's the camaraderie in it, and everyone looks out for each other. The team spirit in that Sheffield United side, as much as the talent that they've got, their ability at their feet, that's one of their biggest strengths. But yeah, it was embarrassing by Chelsea, and especially when they're going into the FA Cup semi-final at the weekend against us. You've got to wonder, again, is that going to be playing on the mind? Do you think it will going into FA? Have they got another game on Thursday, Chelsea?
I think, let me have a look now.
I know we play Palace, don't we?
Well, they've got Norwich on Tuesday, actually.
Yeah.
I know. So that, in theory, is the one where you get your confidence back. You get your strikers start scoring and everything should go to plan. You're going into the game with United feeling a lot better. But I think Chelsea will just be annoyed because they had that great result against City, didn't they? And then they just started dropping daft points. And that their form has been so erratic sort of post-Christmas. I think going into the break, into lockdown, they took 13 points from 30, which wasn't great. Then again, they're a bit like United in the sense, a bit like United were a few months ago in the sense that they tend to be able to beat anyone and get beat by anyone, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's a funny one there, and I think it's just my big worry about United facing them is we've beaten three times this season.
Yeah.
Big ass to do it 4 times in a season. You worry that sooner or later, just by the law of fucking averages, they're going to get a result. Do you know what I mean? It's like 2018 FA Cup final. We went into that game, and what were we? 10 points ahead of Chelsea in the league, or whatever. Favourite. Yeah. Everyone thought, United will win the cup. Under Jose going back to facing his old Chelsea team, United are favourites. We just didn't fucking turn up. So I'd fancy us because I fancy us for anyone at the minute, but it's going to be very, very close. And if they get a good result against Norwich, do us in the FA Cup, then, Lampard's a genius again, isn't he?
Yeah, it's very, very true. He's got well more out of that team this year than anyone was sort of expected. We say Leicester peaked. No one expected Chelsea to be in the top 4 or an FA Cup semi-final, I don't think, at the beginning of the season. But yeah, it's going to be interesting watching that. Because I was at that FA Cup final against Chelsea, and it was probably the worst. We had some shockers under Jose, but you'd expect him, everything tied to it, playing against his old team and stuff like that. I thought we would have put a better fight up, but it was abysmal final, that.
He changed it at the wrong time as well, didn't he? He took off Rashford and Lingard, I think, just as they started getting going. It didn't make any sense.
Yeah, and do you think that it's going to make a big impact? Because we're playing on Thursday night, and because Ollie's going to have to, if he's going to go for the FA Cup, you'd expect him to make changes either against Southampton or against Palace. It seems a little bit unfair that Chelsea will have Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. They've got another 3 days on top of us rest. Do you see Ollie making many changes either against Southampton or Palace?
We were talking about this on Paddock, and everyone was saying like sooner or later he's got to start making changes, and what's the game to do it? And in theory, Southampton at home would be I know home doesn't really matter as much, but it's a bit of an advantage because it's what you're used to. There would be the game to do it. I just wonder, and I was saying this, I made this point on the channel the other day, is whether Ollie's almost got the training, so there isn't as much training, so you're playing. Say you play on the Thursday night, you come in on the Friday for a bit of a, massage or whatever. On the Saturday, you'll do, just have a steam. And then on the Sunday, you're back out there, maybe do a little bit of ball work. And then you're back out there for the game. So it's almost like the games are your training, if that makes sense. I don't know if he's managing it like that because they're coming so thick and fast that he might be getting away with that. I don't know. I mean, I'm not privy to what goes on inside Carrington, but that was just a theory that I had because he's not changing it. And you've got the likes of Nemanja Matic playing every game. He's obviously 30 again. The defenders are all playing. Everyone's playing. Everyone looks quite fresh, if I'm being honest. No one looks knackered. And I just wonder whether he's managing it like that and he's just sort of, the training's gone sort of to an easier level where it's just more or less light training and, almost the sort of training you have when you're recovering from injury, just a bit of cardio or whatever. And then it's the games that are higher intensity. And I don't know, but I mean, in theory, if you're going to make a change, you'd make a change now. But you don't know. He might look at it and go, top four's in our hand. Fuck everything else. Get top four. I hope he does. Yeah. I think we've got a chance in the FA Cup, and I'd love to win a trophy under Ollie. But yeah, he might look at it and go, listen, if I get Champions League football next season, that's fucking job done.
Yeah, I mean, the momentum is with us, and I think we're one of the most informed teams across Europe that hasn't. I think we've only dropped 1 point in the games that we've played, haven't we? So you got to expect us to go into every game beaming of confidence. And I'm going to get to the question of doing in a minute, but when you're talking about that training method, that seems quite a contrast to how Ollie was criticised previously about how hard he'd ran players into the grounds, because there was that theory, wasn't there, about how many players was getting injured, in particular Pogba and I think Martial and stuff, that he was training them too hard. But he always says that the fittest team his theory was always the fittest team in the country will go on to win the league. I mean, I don't know if you're buying anything to that, but if he is sort of taking the foot off and allowing momentum, because the lads look like they're enjoying themselves again. It's like, Pogba when he came off the other night and just the beaming grin and saying that it's not good enough, we should be up there. It was amazing to see that. It really was. You know what I mean? And you could see he meant it wasn't sound bites because he was sort of pushed in front of a camera. And I can't work out. It can't just be Fernandes that's come in and changed that whole dynamic, because I wasn't Ollie out before Christmas, but I was very critical. But I wanted to get your.
You were Nuno in, weren't you? If my memory serves.
I've been Nuno in since the seeing him, mate. No, I think it's a great. I know this was before Solskjaer. I said Nuno after when Jose was on his way out, but I've been critical of Ole. But is it all down to Fernandes?
Not all. I mean, Fernandes doesn't make Luke Shaw kick on a gear. I mean, he can play a part in some of the passes he does, but that's nothing to do with Fernandes, really, is it? Fernandes, doesn't make Nemanja Matic a superb holding midfielder. And, all of a sudden, he helps the midfield. He helps him in midfield, obviously. And it helps the fact that Matic is playing alongside Fernandes. But that's not all of a sudden why we're seeing some of the best we've seen from Nemanja Matic. I think Ollie's got to take credit because he said that end of last season when we ran out of steam. We had that amazing run, the best run we've ever had, even better than under Fergie, with all those away victories, culminating in obviously that magical night in Paris. And then the fucking wheels came off in a bigger way than I've ever seen at any team. And not just United team. I've never seen a team go from, just dominating games and beating the likes of Paris Saint-Germain away and Chelsea away and Arsenal away and Tottenham away to just being fucking shite and getting, drawing with relegated Huddersfield, getting beat off relegated Cardiff.
Cardiff, yeah.
It was a massive capitulation that I've never witnessed before, and I hope I never see it again at United anyway. And I think one of Ollie's sort of explanations was, players are fucking knackered. They've run out of steam, and maybe that's got something to do and give me a pre-season sort of thing. And then he had a pre-season, and the results coming into the new season were patchy. We beat Chelsea, we drew with Wolves, we lost like Southampton, Newcastle, Bournemouth, home to Palace, beat City, beat Spurs. It was just like so up and down, lost to Burnley. Yeah. And you're just like, what is going on? And then when Fernandes came in, we did start to pick it up. So yeah, Fernandes has his part, but I think a lot of it was all his sort of training was coming to fruition. And then we've had the break. Some teams have benefited from the break, others haven't, and we're one of the ones that have. And I think we've come back fresh. We've come back with Marcus, who wasn't going to feature this season probably. That's a big advantage. If the season had gone the way it would have been, Marcus might have just sneaked in at the end, but that was doubtful. We've come back with fully fit Paul Pogba again. He probably would have missed the Spurs game, or, maybe had to play a sort of peripheral role for the first few games after the Spurs game, but instead he's been able to play more or less all of them because he had an extra 3 months to get ready. So, it's benefited us, the fact that some of our injured players have been able to come back fit and strong. Yeah. Yes, Bruno Fernandes, in answer to your question, is a part, but it's not all down to him. I mean, and all he's got to take credit. I mean, he's given the strikers a lot of confidence. Martial down the middle, he's stuck with him down there. Rashford on the left, he's stuck with him there. And now you've got Greenwood on the right. And he warned us about Greenwood. He sort of, not warned us, but he called it. He said last season, he spoke about next season Greenwood will have a part to play in. Especially when the fact that Lukaku went out and Sanchez went out. Yeah. I mean, you've got to give all the credit for that.
Yeah, I was going to say, he don't get the credit for that because he's stuck his guns, didn't he, with the decisions that he made by letting Lukaku go and not investing in a new striker. But when we're playing Southampton tonight, when this goes out, you're Southampton's defence. You're not going to go if he plays the MMA centre forwards. You don't know which you don't know who to mark. Do you? I think Greenwood just looks an absolute phenomenal, and I just don't know where do you place him in terms of young 18-year-olds. I mean, we were discussing this the other week. He's made such a huge impact. I always think I wonder how he's viewed on the continent, because in England when Mbappe's on the scene and stuff like that, he's always sort of glorified this great French player. I wonder if that's the same sort of sense of Greenwood in Europe.
Well, it's funny you say that, isn't it? Because I think it was Andy Mitton in The Athletic said that last year Juve offered him money, big money.
Really? Yeah.
Apparently, yeah. They saw the potential there and thought he'd get in quick before he signed his new deal. With like they did with Pogba, big money. And Greenwood was like, nah, not for me. I'm sticking in United. So if you didn't love him then, before then, you definitely, love him now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think they know what this lad's capable of. They'll have seen it. I mean, he is something special. We spoke, like you said the other day, about him as a youngster, how he compares. You look at the Michael Owens. Michael Owen probably did it. Oh, he didn't know. Probably he did it on a bigger stage. He did it on the World Cup. He announced himself properly. Rooney did it at a younger age, at 16. Rooney scored that worldie against Arsenal when they were on that run, and that was like, Wayne Rooney.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah,
fucking hell, what's going on here? Giggs, I think, was 17, 18 when he burst on the scene. I think he's a similar thing to Giggs in that he's come in and United fans have thought, he's got it. He's got a lot here, and he's being handled the right way. Giggs was handled the right way, and I think Mason Green was being handled the right way. So, yeah, I think they'll rave about him on the continent. They probably don't know as much about him. They've only seen him in the Europa against the likes of Lask. I know he scored a great goal and he's done well in Europe. But, listen, we need Champions League football. This kid needs to be playing in the fucking Champions League, not in Europa. I don't care how we get it. We just need Champions League football next season. Because, yes, Pogba should be in the Champions League. Fernandes should be in the Champions League. Rashford, Martial, fucking hell, you can name more. But Mason Greenwood, you want to see him at the very top level, because I think he can handle any pressure, and I think he can play against any defender and any team and cause them problems.
Yeah, I completely agree. He just looks absolutely fearless and a bit like a 27-year-old striker. I was going to say in a young lad's body, but it's not. He's still quite a strong lad, strong.
See how he came back from lockdown?
Yeah.
Just a little bit of extra muscle. That's all it was. It's just muscle, obviously.
Yeah.
And you're like, fucking hell, man. That is like, that's manna from heaven. That is your United fan. That's like, remember when De Gea put a little bit of weight on, and you were like, oh yeah, good, that's what he needs. With him, that's what with Greenwood. You wanted him to bulk up a little bit, but not obviously too much. And he's just seems to put on maybe a stone or whatever, and it's just done in the world of good. I mean, he's so strong. You've seen him slugging off fucking defenders. I think it was against Brighton, I think it might have been. And I was like, fuck, I couldn't get over it. He was like, these are like big breathing defenders. And he's teenagers, you know what I mean? And he's just like, and they're going flying, and you're like, bloody hell. It's like Rashford, you don't have to be like Hedge. Do you know what I mean? If you're sort of wiry, muscly, and you're just strong like Rashford is. You've seen it with Rashford, haven't we, with like Sir Van Dijk and that, how he can just handle himself. And like, you look at him, he's only sort of slim. And it's the same with Mason. He's not a massive lad, but he's muscly. And you look at them two, Martial, and you just think, if you're a defender, fucking hell. I mean, feigning injury. Do you know what I mean? Get yourself sent off. That's what I'd be doing. 240 first minute. Give me a red card. Get me the fuck out of here.
I hope someone at Southampton does that tomorrow. You talk about Champions League football. I was looking earlier on at the restart of the league. Well, the 2021 league starts on August the 8th, doesn't it? So we're still going to be playing Europa League in Europa during the beginning. And do you think this is why Liverpool have maybe taken their foot off the gas because they've got one eye at the beginning of next season? Because is it not when we were restarting the league after lockdown, and there was a lot of questions about how farcical it is, I was going to be, and whether anyone still agrees with that. But do you think it gives them a slight an advantage going into next season, whereas United might not have had any rest? Because we'll probably have the FA Cup final, hope all going well, on August the 1st, back into the Premier League on August the 8th. And then we're still flying to Europe if we're in the Europa League. We could be playing an extra 4 or 5 games ahead of Liverpool towards the end of August. Do you think that plays into... It's got to play into the Scousers' hands, hasn't it?
I mean, yeah, there's 2 points to your question. I'll answer both. First of all, I don't think Liverpool have had one eye on that at all. I think the reason they drew Burnley, for example, this weekend, is because Klopp's tried to play 1 or 2 youngsters. He brought in I forget the lad's name, at right back instead of Trent Alexander-Arnold, and I think that upset the apple cart. I do. I think you saw they were a different team when Trent came on. I think he left it a little bit too late to make that change. And Burnley just dug in, and with Rodriguez, they were getting a lot of joy. I mean, they could have won it, Burnley, to be fair. But so I don't think it's necessarily that. I think you've seen it with United. You get to the end of the season. Remember 2000 when I think we lost to Derby, we lost to fucking Charlton and just shy at Old Trafford because we'd already won the league, and Fergie was giving just John Curtis and just Clegg and all those types of players games. He's just like, right, yeah, get some of the youngsters involved because he wasn't really as fussed. And I think there's an element of that maybe going on at Liverpool. They made 1 or 2 changes and it just upsets it all. But in terms of an advantage, it might do it, but it might go back to what I was saying earlier about how he handles it training-wise and momentum. Just having that momentum and if you're winning and playing well and you keep going and keep going and keep going, and he's sort of adapted the training, then maybe you can have a shorter break and come back and still play well. I think, obviously mentally you need a break and you need to just take yourself away from football for a bit and just do something else. But I don't know, man. Ollie, he seems to be handling it really well, Ollie. He seems to be having it just down to, fine out, because no other teams are really playing the same 11 the way we are and getting away with it. So I'm hoping he can carry that on into next season. And if he can, then I think we'll be all right. But I know there's a lot of ifs and buts there, but we'll have to see. Yeah,
I mean, next year, pull a pint. Well, fucking cut that bit out. Fuck that right up.
We don't edit it.
Pint, half, full sort of bloke.
There you go.
Next season, we could potentially take the title back off Liverpool.
All right.
City. I mean, this might fall egg on my face. City could be banned from Europe. I'm not too sure if that'll happen.
Yeah, it's a good point. But when this gets released, very soon after, we're going to find out whether City are banned from Europe. So at the moment, we don't know.
Yeah, and we could all laugh at Leeds United getting relegated. So it could be, in a year's time, 2020's been shit, but 2021, it does have the hallmarks where it could be a really good year.
It could. I just feel that United have sort of excelled recently, and I think it's made me think that we're not as far away from challenging as I thought we were. We're not there yet. 30-odd points, you can't dismiss that difference between us and the Scousers. And I think defensively, there's still a few question marks. But, a few months ago, I thought we needed like 6 or 7 players. I did. I thought, you know, you go back to that Leicester game and the team that I read out. Do you know what I mean? And let me find it. When was this? Just bear with me. I can't even fucking find it now. Anyway, we had. I can fucking found it. Sorry, bear with me. But you're looking at the time we played Leicester earlier on in the season. You had Ashley Young at left back. You had McTominay. All right, he's okay, but you know, is he a first team? We'll have to wait and see. You had Mata. You had Pereira. You had Dan James. I mean, you know, they're probably squad players. On the bench, you had Mason Greenwood, who didn't even get on because he was a youngster, but obviously he's quality. Gomez, Tuanzebe, who's just been injured. Chong, who, you know, the jury's out on. So that squad, looking at it, was a million miles away from a title challenging squad. Fucking hell. I mean, you look at it and you go, right, where do I start? Other than maybe De Gea, Wan-Bissaka, Rashford, and Maguire, you know, the rest, it's, you know, we need another fucking 6 or 7 players. But the Manu Matic has kicked on from there. He's actually got back to his best. Rashford's just excelled. And then obviously Martial come back from injury. Pogba's back from injury. Fernandes has come in. I mean, it's just, you know, it's just a different kettle of fish completely now. So you feel confident. So I don't know. I think that if we could get, for me, if we could get someone like a Thomas Partey or someone like that as a holding midfielder, because I don't know how much longer you can rely on the Manu Matic, and I'd want to see one holding midfielder, not 2. And we got another option up front. If we've got a Sancho, so there's 4 players vying for the 3 positions, and maybe a defender as well, then I don't think we're that far away. But it's all injury dependent, because if we lose Bruno, we're in trouble. If we lose Pogba, we're in trouble. You saw the game against Spurs. We needed them both.
Yeah. Got to be interesting.
Yeah.
They'll be up to Ed Woodward this summer. I mean, I think we've got an extended transfer window, haven't we? So I'm sure we'll all be keeping an eye on that. The North London derby, Spurs versus Arsenal. Both teams are having a fucking shocker, aren't they? Post lockdown. I couldn't call it. I expected that to be a 0-0, and it ended 2-1 to Spurs. Arsenal, Arteta, there's a lot of work that needs, probably more work than Chelsea or any other. The big dogs that you know in the league need a lot of work doing there. Mourinho, do you think his cards are marked at Spurs? I don't think there's that many Spurs fans who are happy with his signing anyway, but I can't see Levy getting rid of him.
I don't know. I think it was a weird one with Spurs when it getting Mourinho, because there was talk that, you know, it was part of the takeover or something. I don't know. I mean, he's going to want money in the summer. He's not going to go there and be happy with the squad he's got and just like Pochettino did, barely any signings.
Yeah.
You get Mourinho, you give him a war chest. United did it, Chelsea did it, Real Madrid did it. I mean, Inter, the lot, you've got to give him money to spend. That's what he does. He comes in, you get 2 or 3 years out of him. He spends about 200 million quid minimum, and then he fucks off. And, you know, that's what I expect him to do at Spurs. I expect them to back him. But I don't know what the situation is, whether they are getting taken over, whether they've got money to come to him, because I can't imagine him being happy in the summer unless he can make at least 5 signings. I know that's a lot, but look where they are, mate. Look, you know what I mean?
I think they've just overtaken Arsenal today, haven't they? I think in the league.
The 41 points off the Scousers, 41 points,
and that's a team that got to the Champions League final as well.
Yeah, I mean, that is unbelievable, that really, isn't it, when you think about it? Spurs have lost 11 games. They've lost nearly a third of all the games. I mean, that is just, I know Harry Kane's been injured, but even still, that's just, you've got to look at that and think, what's your ambition? If you want to get back into the top 4, if you want a challenge, like a couple of years ago, they challenged him for titles. I mean, they didn't get anywhere. They were in the mix. If you want to get back there, they need at least 5 signings, mate. I'm telling you. Let's not forget they've lost players as well. You know, like Eriksen and other players have left. They need some massive investment, and I don't know what's going on there, because I just can't imagine they didn't have, or Mourinho wasn't promised some money. I can't see it.
It was an odd one as well, because obviously look at the finances of the grounds and stuff like that. They were all the whole thing about furlough, and Levy didn't want to pay his staff, did he? And so you do wonder how much money is going to be spent there on what or if it was just Mourinho wanting to jump straight back into football and was offered something and thought, you know what, I don't mind moving back to North London, another redundancy pay in another severance check in 2 years' time.
It's his reputation, isn't it? That's the thing. You're right. Yeah, he could get a massive payout and he's probably on big money. Well, he is on big money. But you keep getting, and he's going, he's gone from, if you look at Real Madrid, you look at United, massive clubs, Inter, massive club, Chelsea, still a big club. Do you know what I mean? Not in the same league as the ones I mentioned, but a big club. Spurs are a rung lower than that. Do you know what I mean? So you're stepping down. Yeah. Now, if it goes wrong at Spurs, what's the next step? You're going to go to fucking Villa or, Watford or whatever. Are you going like... I mean, I think he'll always get work because of his reputation and the trophies he's won. But you don't want to keep going down and, you've gone from a manager who always guarantees success to a manager who gets sacked all the time and just upsets everyone. People are going to be looking at it going, he's a spent force, Mourinho, he's a busted flush. Just fuck him off. Don't go near him.
I love Jose as a person, but you've got one. I do fear that he has become yesterday's man now in the way that and the pace that football moves. And you're right. The Spurs move was strange for many ways. I'd have thought he would have took a job abroad if it doesn't work out at Spurs, which I really, really can't see how he turns that around with the investment that I don't think that he needs, and I don't think he's going to get. Is the Portuguese coaching job? Is the thing? It's probably the next one that I could see him get after Spurs. But even then, a lot of Portugal don't really like Jose Mourinho.
With Ronaldo on his way out, 4 years? Is it 6 years after you've won? 4 years after you've won the Euros? So, do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. That's probably the worst time now to be the Portuguese manager when Ronaldo's, approaching his sell-by date. So, I mean, you're right. Maybe that is an option for him, and it could give him a sort of, because it's semi-retirement in international management from the daily grind of being a club manager. But I don't know. I think maybe just going to somewhere like you say abroad, maybe going back to Inter, or I don't know. Maybe back to Portugal or maybe Germany or somewhere. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. Yeah. Like you say, he doesn't. But I mean, I wouldn't count him out just yet. I wouldn't. I think we've been here. I'm not saying he's as good a manager, but we've been here with Fergie. I had the same things in 2004 and 2005. Well, Fergie's done, Benitez and Wenger and all these, Mourinho. And Mourinho's got the ability to coach tactically as well. He can be a fucking tactical genius when he wants to be. So that, should still be in him. I think he's just lost his man management ability. And I think if he maybe takes a look at himself and realises that it's not everyone else that's the problem, it's him, and makes those changes, maybe there's still he can get back to not the Jose of old, but to a level where he's challenging and getting teams to challenge again. But at a minute, don't let a fucking 2-1 win at home against Arsenal confuse anyone. That's meaningless.
Yeah. I mean, anyone facing Arsenal should be expecting to get 3 points, shouldn't it? I mean, we won't touch on them for too long, but they I mean, fucking hell, where they
were doing all right. Before lockdown, and then they just back to this.
Yeah, but that's when Arteta came in, and I'll always get that sort of. You get the new manager feeling, don't you? That you get a few wins under your belt, and they done us, and they said, "Oh, we're back," and then they were getting beat again, and it's just, I feel they're just driftwood now, driftwood of the Premier League. You talk about yesterday, man, with Jose Mourinho. Fucking, how long's it been since Arsenal won the league?
Well, 16 years, is it? Yeah,
16 years. Yeah. Spent force, mate. Spent force. Just pick up a copy of Fever Pitch and remember it that way.
Yeah, anyway, not a big club anymore, are they?
No. Last but not least, or maybe least, Norwich relegated. No surprises there, was there?
No. I feel for him. They've tried to play football the right way. I've always said, I wouldn't be too worried if I was a Norwich fan. They sort of got promoted ahead of schedule. And they didn't spend ahead of schedule. They didn't right now they've got promoted. We're going to spend money we haven't got. They're a well-managed, well-run club with a plan. Obviously, it's not to get relegated with a low amount of points, but I think they just exceeded expectations in getting promoted a little bit early. They play football the right way. They've got some good young players. Max Aarons and Campbell as well. I think, two that stand out. I think Norwich will be all right. Yes, it's sad that they went because like I said, they did play nice football. You see them, but
yeah,
I think they'll bounce back. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Norwich back in the Premier League in 2 years' time.
I completely agree. I think, as perverse as it sounds, that it's a positive thing for Norwich to actually get relegated. If you look at the current economic situation, they're going into a league now where a lot of the clubs are going to be affected by the coronavirus and the lack of gates, and they'll have that parachute fee, won't they? Do you know what I mean? So and they didn't invest this season, so they're going to have so much bank going into 2021 that I think they'll just blow out of the water in terms of the transfer market and the year of playing together in the Premier League. They'll just be by far better than anything in the Championship. But West Ham winning 4-0, I fucking hate West Ham. When we were looking at the relegation zone, I really, really wanted West Ham to go down. And it's just every year, West Ham, I'd be quite happy if it's Villa to go down, but it looks like West Ham and David Moyes, our old boy, David Moyes, might have saved them. The genius that is David Moyes.
Came good in the end, didn't it? Fucking hell,
yeah. What was it, 6 years too late after?
Yeah. Well, it's not even his fault, just disastrous appointment, really.
You're going to call tomorrow night's game then?
Yeah, I think it'll be closer than we think, but I'll go for 2-0 United. I think that's different what I told the other day, but I don't matter.
Yeah, well, as long as you keep saying different results on several podcasts,
yeah,
get
exactly.
one of them right.
I'll just click the one up that's right.
Yeah, I'm going for United. I'm going for United 3-0. I think it'll be another impressive performance. Well, I just think the momentum at United now is just going to keep them going through, and I'm optimistic that we could get top four and win the FA Cup, and then with better luck with the draw going into the draw in the Europa. I think we got a decent draw going. Was it Copenhagen and I can't pronounce the other team?
The Istanbul.
The Istanbul team. So you got to think we could have a decent run there. But and then City tomorrow. Well, do you think it will or it won't happen? The ban.
The cynic in me says it probably won't. But I'm not asked. I think United needs to do what we need to do. Go for top four. It's in our hands. Forget about that and just go for it. We'll be all right. So I don't think it'll happen. And I think if we go for it, we play the way we've been playing, I think we'll get top four. So City fucking doesn't matter. Do you know what I mean? They can do what they're doing. I'm not really bothered. But I think we can get Champions League football next season, definitely. Without that, getting fifth shit.
I was just doing
before,
it
before we go. I know you want to talk about Wilfried Zaha. He got abused on Instagram, I think it was. The kid is a 12-year-old who was behind it. He's been arrested. Zaha screenshotted it and posted it. I don't have a problem with that. Do you know what I mean? Okay, it's a kid, but he shouldn't have to take that shit. He's a professional footballer. Doesn't mean he has to take racial abuse. No one does. And he's every right to highlight it and say, look, this is the sort of garbage I've been sent. And hopefully the 12-year-old who's behind it, his mum and dad, and someone can have a word with them. Because, if you raise a 12-year-old who's sending racial abuse to footballers, you failed, in my opinion. You won't have a word with yourself.
I completely agree with you. And in light of everyone saying why have they got Black Lives Matter on the back of the shirts, it doesn't matter. There's no racism in this country. Do you know what I mean? And then,
Exactly, yeah. It doesn't exist.
Yeah. But that's social services job, for me. They should be well having fucking them round to the house to discuss where he's got these sort of racial notice from. Fucking good on Wilfried Zaha for doing that. We've been Scotty and Motti. We will be back with a big one tomorrow night. Well, we're filming it tomorrow night. The greatest show on earth. We're going to be breaking down the characters, and as you can tell by Motti's face there.
I've been waiting for this ever since me and you've been friends. We've been talking about this, and I just this is it, mate. This is the one. Right, we're not going to tell you any more than that. We shall see you soon.